The Way of the Samurai, The Legend of Yasuke. One's path is not chosen by birth, but by the blade he bears. Unknown. Samurai Proverb. Part 1. The Unknown Man. He is believed to have been born in East Africa, but his name, birthplace, and even the exact time of his birth remain uncertain, lost to speculation and legend. It is believed he was kidnapped and trafficked, eventually ending up in India, where he would be trained as a warrior. It is estimated that as many as 11 million Africans had been trafficked to India as slaves, primarily to be used as soldiers. During this time, when soldiers were in peak demand, estimates reach into the tens of thousands. In India, he was now a member of a military caste known as the Habshi, African warrior elites. The term Habshi was derived from Abyssinia, now Ethiopia, as most Africans brought to India began their journey there. It was in India where he became Alessandro Valignano's servant. Alessandro Valignano was an Italian Jesuit who had been given the official position Visitor to the Indies by Pope Gregory XIII, and was then dispatched to inspect and develop the flourishing Catholic footholds in India, China, and finally, to the easternmost of the missions, Japan. And so, the unknown warrior who crossed oceans entered a world torn by swords and ambition, feudal Japan. He left Africa not by choice, but arrived in Japan with purpose. His name unknown, but his destiny undeniable. Part 2. The Black Samurai. His first appearance in historical records appears around 1579 as Valignano's attendant, accompanying him on an inspection tour to Japan during the Sengoku period. This period of Japan lasted for about 150 years, where Japan was in a constant state of civil war, upheaval, and strife thanks to the collapse of its feudal system in the mid-1400s. After that, samurai warlords and various clans fought for control of territory in the sudden power vacuum. Meanwhile, rebellious groups of Japanese citizens known as Iko-Iki cropped up to fight against samurai rule. When Europeans started arriving in Japan in the mid-1500s, it threw things into even further turmoil. Valignano's first stop in Japan was to be Nagasaki, a deep anchorage in a Jesuit-friendly province. The young man's unique appearance drew this visitor a great deal of attention from the Japanese. And while in Japan, the boy, now a man, gained the name of Yasuke. Many of them thought he was a god or some kind of mystical figure. His physical presence caught the attention of Oda Nobunaga, one of Japan's most powerful warlords. Oda Nobunaga was intrigued by Yasuke and asked him to serve in his household. Initially, Yasuke worked as a servant, but Nobunaga soon recognized his strength and loyalty. According to some accounts, Yasuke was so impressive that Nobunaga eventually gave him the status of a samurai, which was an extraordinary honor for someone who was not of Japanese descent. Yasuke was granted a katana, sword, and given the title of samurai, a warrior class typically reserved for Japanese-born men of noble or warrior lineage. In fact, Yasuke is one of the only non-Japanese men to ever hold the title of samurai in Japan. Strictly speaking, samurai means simply one who serves, and in medieval sources it's just as likely to refer to a servant as to a warrior, so scholars often prefer the more precise term bushi, meaning simply warrior. In the Chronicle of Lord Nobunaga refers to Yasuke being granted a sword and a stipend by Nobunaga. This suggests that Yasuke was in Nobunaga's direct service, and while he carried some of Nobunaga's weapons, was treated better than a servant or low-ranking foot soldier would have been. Yasuke fought in several battles alongside Nobunaga's army. He was highly regarded for his strength and loyalty. The most famous of these battles was the Battle of Tenmokuzan in 1582, where Nobunaga's forces were ambushed by a betrayal led by his own general Akechi Mitsuhide. Nobunaga was forced to commit seppuku, which is a ritual suicide by disemboweling oneself. After Nobunaga's death, Yasuke was taken captive by Akechi Mitsuhide's forces. According to some historical accounts, Yasuke was treated with respect, despite being captured because of his former status as a samurai. Yasuke was handed over to the Jesuit missionaries in Kyoto, Japan by Mitsuhide. The Jesuits had close relations with the Japanese warlords at the time, and Yasuke's presence and his exotic background, being an African man in a highly hierarchical society like Japan, would have made him an object of interest and possibly protection by the Jesuits. Part 3. Where did he go? Written historical records on this era of Japan are scant, which means we may never know for sure what truly happened to Yasuke or what his post-samurai life was like. But the rumors suggest his adventures does not stop in Japan. Some say he retired and lived out the rest of his days amongst the Jesuits. Some believe that he left Japan and went with the Jesuits into the New World where there were more Jesuit missions and more battles to be fought. Others suggest that he was released from the Jesuits and was used in the Battle of Yamazaki to avenge his former master. A few suggest that the Jesuits released him and he became a wanderer and taught others the way of the samurai. Then, a few voices suggest that he was a lone assassin on a mission to kill Mitsuhide, not only for his master but because of the betrayal. Whether Yasuke lived in peace, sought vengeance, or vanished into legend as a wandering swordsman, his story echoes through time. The tale of a stolen child who rose to the rank of samurai, carving his fate with blade, honor, and unbreakable will. If you enjoy this type of content, like, share, and subscribe.